Dwayne McIntyre. Last year I spoke here before you guys. Probably don't remember me, you probably don't remember my speech, but you probably remember my big long beard. I don't have that no more, so. But I am back, so I'm sorry about that. So anyway, this year I'm again privileged to speak before you, so but I also want to just make note that I'm speaking before you today on HB1290, but I also want what I am saying to also fold into the HB1461 that you're also going to see after this. So just keep that in mind as I'm giving this presentation. So last year I gave testimony about the individual liberties surrounding this bill. Sadly, that's just not how government works anymore. So this year I'm hoping that it still works under common sense. It is my aim today to counter the claims and propaganda the corporate opposition to this bill make, with hopes you all see through the broken record they play when it's their turn to skip. First off, Mr. Chairman, last year you tasked us, all of us, with us being our side and them being their side, to come together and negotiate on this bill. And it was your declaration that if we got on board together with something, that you guys would help see it through this committee. Mr. James, among some of the others here, have also offered their support for our cause, so long that we can get corporate on board. It is of the utmost importance to make sure that you all know that we had those meetings last year, and it was my privilege to be included in discussion on how we could do all that. Sadly, I have to report back to you that after 3 meetings with Farm Bureau, Virginia Department of Agriculture, VA State Dairymen's Association, and the Virginia Agribusiness Council, there was no negotiation had. And they refused to discuss much of anything, frankly. They remain firm on the points of safety risk they repetitiously invoke on food freedom, and I appreciate your time to hear my resolve with their top 3 claims. Their first claim is that raw milk is inherently unfit for human consumption. This is an outright lie, gentlemen. Raw milk taken from a healthy cow is not unfit for human consumption. My family and I have been drinking raw milk for over a decade and have not once gotten sick from it, let alone died.
Sir, are you speaking to this bill, or are you speaking to Morris's bill?
I'm speaking to the Food Freedom Act and the Lightning. Yeah, they're both mainly milk, and milk seems to be the problem, so that's what I'm addressing.
Thank you.
Yes. But to sit and use you guys to forbid and ban us from the marketplace under all circumstances, the sale of raw milk is absurd. They are simply taking the results of contaminated raw product and applying them to what me and many others consider a superior product, raw healthy milk. Of course, contaminated raw milk can be dangerous, so is industry milk. Spinach, lettuce, cantaloupe, beef, and any other food product, industry or not, that is contaminated. Just ask the kids who fell ill in the Henrico County school systems from pasteurized milk last spring how safe their milk was. Milk has been around since the dawn of time, and all of a sudden, around the time a corporate industry comes on the scene, we can't legally buy or sell anything other than their products. With a stance so stern against raw milk and other homemade products, and a complete denial that anyone here in this room is complicit in monopolizing big farm industry, I presume then that we can find such a strict standard held to the products that sold through the approved industry they represent. Certainly we will not find anything inherently unfit for human consumption on the shelves of a grocery store. It's interesting how meat is such a dangerous product that the federal government has to regulate it. It's not like milk, which is allowed to the states to determine whether they are regulated or not, and some states do not regulate it, for the record. But what we have here is Walmart meat. I don't know about you, but I'm not too impressed. But first notice, this meat is hypocritically raw. It is most probable that you will get sick just eating that product as is. So why doesn't this product need cooked to death before it's sold? Well, you can see that there's a label on it warning consumers that it could be contaminated. It's somewhere on there. You can pass it around if you all want. There it is on the back. And cooking it to a specific temperature is only recommended. And that's all it needs for everyone to overlook any of the safety concerns brought on by that raw meat. Now, I don't know about chicken, but I know a lot of people who do not follow that warning label on their beef. To some people, if their beef isn't mooing, they won't eat it. And we all know people like this. So knowing that meat is very dangerous and that a huge percentage of people eat it unsafely, you would think that there would be strict cooking standards for those who are allowed to prepare and process these items and sell them to consumers. Well, it's the exact opposite. Here's a menu from the Capitol Ale House right down the street. They serve steaks on their menu. Restaurants and the industry the opposition represents are all allowed to cater to the unsafe food practices of the masses with nothing more than a simple label on their menus, right down here at the bottom, declaring the safety recommendations of the government and a warning that they're going to get sick. I can go to Applebee's or any other multi-million-dollar industry our opposition represents on the way home and eat a hardly cooked steak that I am warned will potentially kill me. Yet I can't buy a gallon of raw milk with the very same label on it from my financially struggling neighbor who milks cows he and his family consumes from every day without threat of criminality. Now, like it or not, cigarettes is an agricultural item approved by you, our government, for human consumption, and there is no argument whatsoever whether it needs to be completely banned like raw milk or not. Tobacco is one of our country's leading killers and promoted as a profitable enterprise by the very corporate interests standing against us small farmers who want to sell milk. How does the big agricultural industry get away with inherently killing people with their product? A simple label on the side warning the consumers of the risk, and all is well. Their argument for it? Consumers have the right to choose what they put in their bodies. It's shameful they have the nerve to turn around and crush small farmers' avenues of income with the counter-argument they themselves are not beholden to. Another agricultural product we can find on the shelves at a grocery store that is deadly is alcohol. No time needs spent illustrating the devastating effects alcohol has on huge percentages of the population who lose family and friends to its effects every single day. In all fairness, the government tried to ban it, but the force was too strong with this one. People love freedom. Final solution? Tax the hell out of it and put a warning label on it. Again, with something this dangerous, you think that there would be strict regulations on feeding it to the masses in regards to the warnings on the label. Nope, exact opposite. Let's sell it in bars you have to drive to and then drive home drunk from. Something warned about on the label that kills people, and our corporate opposition is fully invested in the profit of it. The second argument is milk sickness will devastate the industry. Although any food sickness should affect the company, restaurant, or farm where it originates from, the claim that food sickness will devastate the whole industry is pure hogwash. We don't even have to look too far to see this to be so. Like I mentioned earlier, Enrico County school systems pulled this very product off their menus this spring due to the fact that contaminated milk got a few dozen students sick. Sure, there was an investigation and measures were taken, but here I have Marva-made milk, fresh from the grocery store. Not only did this sickness not cripple even the company that got all those children sick, the schools gladly reintroduced this milk back into the schools in the fall. No harm, no foul for the industry giants. Business is back to normal, as you can see, and consumers are back to regulating their own risk of milk consumption, which this milk producer clearly demonstrates exists even in the legal stuff. And notice the hypocrisy, gentlemen. There is no label anywhere on this jug of milk warning of the inherent risk of choosing to drink this product. I recently got an email from Farm Bureau spewing numbers of raw milk sickness across the nation, touting that there was no raw milk sickness in Virginia last year because it wasn't allowed here. Truth is, there are hundreds of cow shares all over the state, and many of us milk cows for personal consumption and barter. But quite conveniently, those factors went ignored in their emails, just as the record for the industry sickness that happened here in VA were never mentioned. But what I did walk away from that email was their acknowledgement that no one got sick last year on raw milk. The third point I'd like to address is that raw foods are a severe risk to kids. Last year during this committee, a lady representing the pediatric lobby was pulled into the room as she was passing by in the hall. After a moment's whisper in her ear, she joined the corporate rally claiming milk kills kids and should be forbidden. I won't even dispute that claim because, as we clearly see, Marva-made came dangerously close to it last spring. There is no dispute that food products, regulated or not, can become contaminated and hurt or kill people. Sadly, there is more sickness occurrence from the industry than there is from people who every day cook, process, prepare their own food in uninspected kitchens in their own homes all across the state. Let's take a product that you guys allowed to have an exemption, honey. This product you gave an exemption to not too long ago, which is absolutely dangerous to young children. Notice that the label recommends not feeding it to children, and the trust you all seem to place in the consumers to mediate their own children's diets. Now I know this is not a food item, but notice the product. Branded and totally geared for children, and on the box admittance that this product kills little children. Solution: a label warning parents of the choke hazard and a suggestion that young children do not play with this toy. According to a study published in the Journal of Pediatric, and excuse me for this, Otorhinolaryngology, head and neck doctors, whatever, you know that word. The 10 foods that pose the highest choking hazard for young children are hot dogs, peanuts, carrots, bone chicken, candy, meat, popcorn, fish with bone, sunflower seeds, and apples. I would love to pull all those items from my bag to show you that they are all mostly labeled as a choking hazard. These items, inherently dangerous for children, are not forbidden like milk is. Yet a label and parental liberty is yet again the marketplace solution for such hazards. In my eyes, and in the eyes of the army of constituents across the state paying attention to these issues, the corporate interests had their chance last year to help us shape this legislation, and they refused. We the people willingly did what you asked to no avail, and now we are here to just see where this committee lies. The polarity is quite clear. Will you protect the big ag monopoly on the market of potentially unsafe foods and cater to the hypocritical talking points, or will you represent we the people and give us economic equality and allow us to fill the demand consumers beg of us? People, mind you, who know the risk of the food they want to purchase from us. For this bill does not allow us to sell to unsuspecting children in schools or consumers who shop in grocery stores who play Russian roulette with their peanut butter or their honey. Any food choice we make in the marketplace is a risk we all have to weigh. All we want for you is to allow us that dignity to actually have food choice in the marketplace. Please support HB1290 and then support the raw milk program.
Mr. McIntyre, let's see if we have any questions of committee.
Please.
Anybody on committee have a question of Mr. McIntyre? Okay.